So as I said, I'm Donna Rorick. I'm from Advantage Chiropractic, and you are here tonight for the Clean Eating Pantry Cleanout. So some of you have done the programs before, some of you are just getting into this. And the reason I do this ahead of time really is because I don't want you to wait until day one to have tips and tricks on how to actually change your eating habit, how to restock your pantry. And I don't expect anyone to throw out everything from the pantry and restock, because that would be totally budget blowing. So let's not ask each other to do that. But I'm sure at the end we have some people that may add in a few things. So as I said before, this is a collaboration between Advantage Chiropractic, Inspired Health and Wellness, and Forever Young 2 Wellness and Skincare. They are a great resource that we have in the St. Cloud area now for the salt room, for massages, for supplementation, oils, all kinds of great things. The reason that we are doing this pantry clean out informational session is really because I want you to get used to some of the foods that you're going to be able to choose during the 7-day and as well as the 6-week. So this is a piece of the book from the 7-day, which I sent out again in another email tonight, so you can review that. Make sure you get familiar with the foods that increase detoxification and the foods to avoid during the 7-day as well as the 6-week. This will be the elimination diet food plan that we will be working off of for the 6-week program. However, I'm not going to actually give that out yet because it gets to be way overwhelming. All I want you to think about right now is just cleaning out the pantry, what this is all going to look like for each program. The reason that we have those food lists is each one of them will eliminate, for a better lack of a better term, will eliminate the top 8 allergens. So everybody's familiar with the peanuts, cow's milk, eggs, tree nuts, shellfish, wheat, gluten, and the gliadin, tree nuts, and soy. Cow's milk, some people are sensitive to lactose, but some people are actually sensitive to the protein as well, being the casein in that. What we want to kind of tease out is an allergy versus an intolerance versus sensitivity. And some people know what that allergy is, like you know that your throat is closing up, your mouth might get itchy, just doesn't feel right. Like within a few minutes of eating something, that's really considered an allergy. Obviously, if you know you're allergic to something, you're not going to eat it. An intolerance means it's right away, you're really going to react. You might have diarrhea, heartburn, kind of that backing up into your mouth kind of thing, stomach pain. But the sensitivities are a little bit harder to tease out because those can actually happen 3 days later. It's really hard to pinpoint sometimes what is really causing it. So between the 8 that we listed, there are some other ones as well. But with doing an elimination diet for 7 days or 30 days really helps to really dial in. So maybe you're experiencing the brain fog, joint and muscle pain that you really don't know where it's coming from, migraines, sneezing, stuffy, runny nose, that not related to seasonal allergies. Maybe going through these programs is actually going to help you to tease out some of those sensitivities when we start to reintroduce foods. Along with those other 8 that we're going to be eliminating, we're also going to be watching our salt. There's a lot of different ways that salt is listed in the label, in the ingredients label. MSG, many people are familiar with. They don't automatically put that in as much anymore, but they still do here and there. And that is a really culprit for migraines. So that is a really tough one. Those of us that are over 50 or have high blood pressure, they recommend that we only have 1,500 milligrams or less. Those that are younger, maybe 2,300 milligrams or less. Now that's a teaspoon. That's it for the day. So when you're really looking at those labels, it's important that you turn those labels around. In this example here, a lot of times people will reach for soy sauce. Great for stir fries, great for anything to give that Asian flavor, and it's a little salty, right? Well, there's a reason for that. So one way we can replace that is we can go with the Bragg's liquid amino acids. Now, this is a really good product for a lot of people, but it is a soy base. It's fermented soy, so it's different than something that may cause some of the allergies, but it's still a soy-based product. Where coconut aminos is a coconut-based product. And then when we take a look at the sodium count, 320 milligrams in the liquid aminos per teaspoon versus 90 milligrams in the teaspoon of coconut aminos. You can find the coconut aminos in the Asian section of your food store, and then sometimes it will be by the other soy sauce and condiment areas. Some places have it all different places. They're trying to, tease shoppers back into the aisles where we were taught not to shop. So they're putting things back in those aisles. But the coconut aminos has an almost similar, very similar flavor to the soy sauce. It's just a little bit more mild. So you might have to play with that a little bit to get the strength that you like. But in that way, you're getting less soy and you're getting less sodium. So when we look at some of these recipes that are either in the book or in the 6-week program, when you know that this would be better with a touch of soy sauce, well, maybe this is going to be an alternative for you. The next thing besides the 8 and the salt now is the sugar. Of course, we want to cut down on the sugar. We all eat way too much sugar. There's really no reason for added sugars. Fruit sugars have enough of what you need in them. All the other foods are really going to have exactly what you need. But when we go to added sugars, now they allow us 100 calories or 26 grams of added sugars daily in the diet. If we were going to think about weight loss, diabetes, anything that's going to make us healthier and avoid chronic disease, if we were to keep this to less than 26 grams daily, or even less than 36, we could really make a difference and impact of our health. Now, they list it in a million different ways, and as you see there, we've got evaporated cane juice. Well, that's sugar, right? Pancake syrup, molasses. Brown sugar is really white sugar that's rolled in molasses. So are you really saving anything? It's not that much healthier. It's just processed that much more. You'll find that the Core Restore is sweetened with brown rice syrup, and that is going to be something that's going to be a little bit easier for the body to digest. When you think of sugar affecting the pancreas, affecting diabetes, you have to also go to the other side of agave and high fructose corn syrup that affects the liver. So each time we reach for any of these things, just because it's natural, we can't say it's all natural so it won't hurt you. You really have to understand that too much of a good thing is a bad thing. We're either beating up the pancreas or we're beating up the liver. So we want to be very careful which things we choose. Less common names for sugar, corn sweetener, or if you look at evaporated cane juice, and erythritol is a sugar alcohol. That is actually allowed on the 7-day, and also the sorbitol and the stevia. Those are the ones that are actually allowed on the 7-day. Stevia, as long as it's actually from the plant and not chemically taken out of the plant, is better for you, because the chemical version is really going to lead to headaches. Truvia, I know, is one of them that really leads a lot of people to headaches. So paying attention to how that stevia is pressed and how it's actually made makes a difference. So by the 3rd day of the Core Restore, it says in the book, you'll never guess that you're going to be craving rice cakes and almond butter. Well, who wants that round hockey puck shaped thick rice cake, right? It doesn't ever sound appetizing at all. But these thin stackers are just as they say. They're small, they're thin. They're really a great vehicle to get all that other stuff into your mouth. And as you can see by that picture down below, you can do the cucumbers, you can do the avocado tomato, you can do, my favorite is the hummus, avocado, small tomato, and then balsamic over the top. And then it's just a nice little crispy square that gives you that crunch without feeling like you've just bitten into styrofoam. So these you can find again at most of the stores. Cashwise is having a little bit of trouble, I think, filling that, and that was in the cracker section. But there's all kinds of different versions of it too. So brown rice and the red rice and quinoa, those are the ones I normally find there. I've not been lucky enough to find like a basil and thyme. That would be very good, and I haven't found that one yet. If you've had a chance to look through your book, you'll see that there are several different recipes, maybe called for brown rice, maybe it's not time for brown rice yet. In some of the 10-day programs, some of the other programs, you don't have brown rice right off the bat. But you do have in there a savory dal stew, and that's where this red lentil comes in. I prefer the savory dal made from scratch, just as the recipe states. But this is a nice addition to actually bringing in some of the other flavors. Now, I find that it's a little bit soupy rather than beans, so it depends on your palate. And I know we're trying to stay away from processed packaged foods, but these have really kind of made their way into some of the food prep so that I know that it's organic, I know what's in it, I know though that it is partially cooked. So you have to understand that this is not going to be the healthiest version unless you are going to make brown rice from scratch from your pantry. That's going to be a much better healthy version. But these seeds of change and the organic tasty bites have really kind of come onto the scene as being an okay in a pinch kind of thing. I do not recommend microwaving them, even though they're made from microwave. When you microwave your foods, you basically kill them. You kill the enzymes inside, you denature a lot of the vitamins right away. Within a few seconds, they're basically dead foods. So it's really not a good practice to microwave. Sometimes we have to for like lunches in an office because you don't have any way to heat it up. If we're going to eat microwave food some of the time, the body can handle that, but not all of the time. When we get into fish, you will see a lot of that salmon and other things really talked about a lot in both programs. But we also need to be cautious of fish and making sure that we're getting the best fish as well. Mercury really travels up that food chain. So if you think you want to have shark, and more power to you, shark or mahi-mahi, they're one of those things that are really high in mercury levels. So you want to be looking more towards the salmon, more towards some of the other choices. That said, 3 servings of salmon a week is good, but when you start to get more than that, we really want to check out and see where this salmon is being harvested. Is it cold water? Is it fresh caught, or is it farmed? There is such thing as some good farmed, sustainable salmon, but I really try and keep to the wild caught fish at all times, just because they have a chance to get in and out of all of the waters without their feed being tainted, if I could say that. So there are different ways you can check that out. You can check the packaging. You can look at the FDA.gov. You can look at Environmental Working Group, which is the EWG.org. They've got great lists there as well. And there are many seafood guides, and all of them are going to contradict. I'm going to tell you that right now. But what we want to do is make sure they're sustainable. We don't want to be overfishing. We want to make sure they're preferably fresh caught. And if you're doing any fish oil, make sure that your supplement is definitely third-party tested so that you're not getting the mercury or anything else inadvertently. So I went through that really fast, and we're going to talk about a few other things in a moment. But right now, all of you have a week until your program starts. And I am not kidding that you should start to wean your caffeine and you should wean your sugar. Many people don't know how badly their body is affected by going off of that stuff. If you're going to start the 7-day right there on the 19th and you're going to fast that day, if you do not cut down your caffeine and sugar, you are going to be in a world of hurt. And I've had people say, oh, this won't hurt, I'll be fine, I only have a cup a day. And then when they do it, they don't realize that that one cup actually affected their body that much. So I'm not kidding. If you want to have the best results on this, it's time to start weaning down that caffeine and your sugar for certain. So for the detox prep list, organic foods as much as possible. Now that doesn't always mean budget breaking, but look at those things that you can buy organic that is a good choice. Using the fresh herbs and spices for seasoning instead of salt, pepper, garlic powder, all of those things are perfect in each program. Avoiding the packaged and processed foods. In a pinch, some of those good organic things can work out, but they're not going to be necessarily a go-to. Drink only filtered water. Don't lean on bottled water, because bottled water itself has the chemicals from the plastics, the xenoestrogens, all of those bad things that can be in that bottled water. And if it's a refilled bottle of water, you're re-leaching out every time. So making sure that your bottled water is at a minimum. You're going to be thirsty because your body is going to be going through a lot of different processes that it wants to, there's going to be taking a lot of water to get the toxins out, and we want that. But you don't want to be drinking that bottled water or any kind of plastic that has BPA in it. If you can, purchase a free-range, hormone-free chicken, grass-fed beef as much as possible. Again, let's not break your budget, but if it's better than some of the other stuff, if it's just a better brand or better version, then you'll be doing yourself a favor. Fruits and vegetables, very important. This apple cider vinegar wash, remove any dirt and residues. Have you ever seen people look at it, or they're looking for apples and they touch every one of them? Or they're looking for an avocado and they don't just look and then touch maybe 3, they touch every one of them. All of those things, and you touch that avocado, you may put it in a bag and think, oh, that's just the avocado and I'm going to take off that skin. Well, that's not in your hand for one. But then when you get it home, you take it out and then you actually put it next to something else. Wash everything. And make sure you take a look at the special ingredients list on page 35. There really are some good suggestions in there as well. So when you start to get into the 7-day program, you can decide whether you want to fast those first 2 days, or if you want to just eat light and have a lot of water and your shakes those 2 days. Either way, I've done it both ways, and really, the first time I just ate light, and the second time I fasted, and really the shakes do work really well. But I wanted to give everybody just a quick rundown of, let's be looking ahead. What are we going to be looking at to make next week? How are you going to food prep? So if we can get into some of the other recipes and everything, once you start the program, I will enter you into the Inspired Nutrition. We'll get you through that on Facebook, so then you can also get into those tips and tricks.